Yo, what's up, Superfit fam? Today we're going through another planche workout. All right, let's get it. All right, guys, so I'm taking you guys through another planche workout. Now, this is gonna be planche my way. So I'm gonna be showing my progression of planche, and then I'm also gonna give you guys an easier variation of planche that you guys can do. That way, just in case you guys are a beginner, okay? Now, if you are in between, somewhere in the intermediate realm, you should already kind of understand the different progressions in between planche. And if not, you guys can check out some of my other planche videos. If you guys are really, really interested in jumping from one progression of a planche to another, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll do a video based on how to get from one progression to another. But this video is just primarily going to be for those who are a little bit more advanced, and those of you guys who are a beginner and just starting out in your planche journey. All right, let's get straight into the exercises. All right, I'm a firm believer of passing through the skill. So what do I mean by that? If we're working either front lever, back lever, or in this case, we're working planche, I'm a firm believer that you have to pass through what you want the skill to look like in order to achieve the skill. That way you build that proprioception, or the understanding of what the body needs to do, or what the body needs to feel in order to achieve that skill. So I do like supplemental exercises, or exercises that can individually build up into achieving different progressions of the planche, but I think every single exercise or every single workout should always begin with some variation of the skill of passing through our biggest progression of that skill. So let's transfer that into weights. If you want to get better at bench press, then the first exercise you're going to do when you walk into the gym, you're going to do some variation of bench press. You're not going to start off with flies. It just doesn't make sense, because we want to get better at bench press. Here, we want to get better at planche. So the first thing we need to do and put most of our energy in, or most of our strength in, is some variation of planche. Of course, before we start doing any planche training, you always want to make sure you warm up. The importance of warming up is just to avoid any type of injury. So the warm-ups that I usually do is just a dynamic warm-up, just making sure I move my shoulders around as well as my wrists around. So inside every single one of your joints, you have these things called bursitis. Now, those bursitis release something called synovial fluid into your joints. Synovial fluid is just pretty much like, imagine yourself as the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. It's pretty much like putting oil into your joints and making sure your joints are more lubricated. That way it doesn't grind against each other, or the chance of like snapping some tendons or anything like that. That's what we do not want. So when you actually move your wrists around, or you move your arms around, your body starts to get warmed up, starts to increase blood flow into those areas, and actually starts to release more synovial fluid into those joints, because your body's pretty much prepping itself for an athletic type of movement. So always make sure you warm up before doing any type of calisthenics or any type of training in general. All right, so the first exercise we're gonna be going for planche holds for 5 sets of anywhere from about 8 to 12 second holds, okay? This is gonna be really, really tough. Main reason why we're going for 8 to 12 second holds is because this is almost like the sweet spot for gaining maximal strength, so we can increase our planche strength and proceed on to harder progressions. My main goal is getting towards a one-arm planche, and you'll see some of the things that I'm working on a little bit later to try to achieve that skill, okay? If you are a super beginner, the first thing we need to understand is how to push down on the bars, because we are working on parallel bars. So there's a very big difference between just slouching and just holding yourself up on the bars and actually pushing down. If you talk to anybody who can do a planche, there comes a point when you get this proprioception or understanding that you have to push through the skill. And people that are really, really, really good at planche understand that if you push too much, you'll end up in a handstand. You'll actually push all the way up through the planche and actually push yourself all the way up into a handstand. So we have to quickly understand what it feels like to push down on the bars. So what we're gonna work on is the shoulder shrug at first, and then if you're good at the shoulder shrugs, we're gonna start to pick our knees up as we shoulder shrug. And if you start getting good at that, when we pick our knees up, we're pretty much going into a tuck planche. And then what I want you to do is start to exaggerate that motion. So if you are a beginner, 5 sets, about 8 to 12 reps of trying to go through that motion. If you can't do the lifting of your knees and keeping your arms straight and keeping your triceps engaged to make sure your arms stay straight, just work on the shoulder shrugs instead, and then slightly pull your knees up, okay? If you're a little bit more advanced, you can slow down the motion of passing through the tuck planche, okay? If you already have your tuck planche or any of your more advanced skills, we're going for an 8 to 12 second hold. All right, let's get it. All right, guys, for the next exercise, we're gonna be doing planche push-ups. So we're gonna be doing 5 sets of 5 reps. I'm gonna be personally doing straddle planche push-ups. For you guys, I want you guys to focus on pseudo planche push-ups. Now, when you guys are doing the pseudo planche push-ups, a couple things to make sure you keep in mind is that you guys are keeping your hands by your hips. This is gonna be very, very important for learning how to balance. So people usually think that planche is just a strictly strong skill that requires a lot of shoulder and core strength, but it also requires an aspect of balance because we have our hand towards our center of gravity and we're kind of balancing in that position. So the more that we can get a little bit of lean in our pseudo planche push-up, the better off that we're gonna be. If you can already do pseudo planche push-ups, you can opt for tuck planche push-ups instead. But make sure that we're going for 5 sets of 5 reps, making sure that we fail by that 5th rep. All right, guys, let's go. All right, guys, now that we've completed those first 2 exercises, now we're gonna get into a few more supplemental exercises that are gonna better help us achieve that planche. The first exercise we're gonna work on is the planche lean. Now, the planche lean, I feel, is one of the most important exercises that you will perform during your planche journey. I highly suggest that anytime you do planche workouts, you find a way to incorporate this exercise into your workout. The more that you can lean in your planche, the easier the planche will be because you'll have more leaning strength or more leverage to actually push through the planche. Now, I'm going to be showing a couple variations that I'm currently working on, but when you guys are working on the planche lean, a couple things to really keep in mind is that we want to train the planche lean exactly how we want our planche to look. We want to have a nice straight body as well as straight arms. If at any point you feel that your arms start bending, then you need to move back a little bit, okay? Our goal here, we're gonna be aiming for about 4 sets. We're gonna be aiming for 4 sets, 10 to 15 seconds each hold, okay? Let's get it. All right, guys, after planche leans, we're gonna be doing some handstand shrugs. We're gonna aim for 4 sets of around 15 reps, okay? Now, the reason why we're doing handstand shrugs is because you really wanna make sure that you're pushing through the skill, especially when we're doing planche, okay? Now, handstands are closely related to planche because they are a shoulder exercise. And learning handstands is also another good way of learning how to go. It opens up the amount of exercises you have available to learn planche. Because if you can learn handstand, you can start doing planche negatives, going from the handstand position down into different variations of planche. I'm going to be doing freestanding handstands, and if you have trouble doing freestanding handstands or doing shrugs in freestanding handstands, you can opt for using the wall and then proceed to do your shrugs there instead, especially if you're tired after doing all the exercises we've done before. All right, guys, let's get it. All right, guys, the last exercise we will be performing is gonna be a wall plank. We're gonna be doing 3 sets, 20 seconds each set, okay? Now, the main reason we're gonna be performing this exercise is just to mainly focus on body alignment and also the ability to squeeze our core. If you can't do the wall plank because it puts a lot of stress on our core and it's very difficult to exercise, you can opt for doing regular planks instead, but just also make sure that while you're doing the 20-second hold, that you're also doing scapular push-ups as well. That way you're also getting a little bit of extra gains at the same time, okay? All right, guys, let's get it. All right, guys, I'm super winded from doing those exercises. I hope those exercises really help you guys on your planche journey. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please leave them down in the comments below. As always, please like and subscribe to my page, as it really does help me out and actually puts this video in front of more people who can actually use it. If you guys have any questions about programs or anything like that, I will leave my email down in the description below, so you guys can always hit me up. As always, stay healthy, stay fit, and peace.